Some major developing news this evening out of the Middle East. According to Reuters, Hamas has conditionally accepted U.S. President Donald Trump's proposal to end the war in Gaza, previously agreed to by Israel.
But the Palestinian militant group didn't directly address terms requiring it to disarm, leaving the next steps up in the air as Israeli forces move into Gaza City. CTV's Judy Trin is following the story.
Reuters is reporting that Hamas is accepting the peace deal put forward by U.S. President Donald Trump. This after he issued an ultimatum earlier today. On social media, Donald Trump wrote that an agreement must be reached by Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Washington time. This is the last chance agreement, Trump wrote, and all hell like no one has seen before will break out against Hamas. This peace proposal was first unveiled on Monday by Trump after he met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The 20-point peace plan calls for Hamas to release all 48 hostages, 20 of whom are believed to still be alive. Hamas members must agree to decommission their weapons and commit to peaceful coexistence. In exchange, Israel would also release nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and gradually withdraw from Gaza, while a stabilization force led by Arab nations would eventually take over security in the territory. Now, this is happening after several countries, traditional allies of the U.S. and Israel, such as France, Britain, Australia, and Canada, recently recognized the state of Palestine last week at the United Nations General Assembly. Now, the war in Gaza is nearing 2 years. It would have reached its 2-year anniversary on October 7th. Palestinian officials say that more than 60,000 people have died and nearly 2 million people are at risk of starvation. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Back here at home, residents rattled in a West End neighborhood. Fierce flames engulf a house, forcing families to flee in the middle of the night.
But first, it's a big weekend for baseball fans here in the city. The Jays welcoming the Yankees to town to play ball in the American League Division Series.
Players are getting ready, fans are getting excited, and it's the first time Toronto and New York have met in the postseason. CTV's Sean Lathong is live tonight outside Rogers Centre with the very latest. Sean.
Well, Michelle and Nathan, the Blue Jays had their workout today, and the Yankees have just taken the field a few moments ago. I'll step out of the way so you can take a look. They were a little late getting into town, but this series really is a battle of the two giants in the American League. They had the exact same record in the regular season. The Jays winning the season series against the Yankees, but the Yankees were the hottest team down the stretch. Making their mark on the field, the Rogers Centre is getting ready for October baseball, and the Blue Jays are preparing to face a familiar opponent.
And the Yankees have completed step one on their...
The New York Yankees beating the Boston Red Sox in their wild card series, now coming to Toronto for the first 2 games of the American League Divisional Series. As today is workout day and the Jays transition to postseason baseball.
It's nice to win the division, it really is, and it's nice to set yourself up the way you want to. But once you get in it, man, success is about winning.
And winning is something the Jays have done a lot of this season, winning 8 of 13 games against the Yankees this year, 94 games in the regular season, and a whopping 54 wins at home. Former Blue Jay Kevin Pillar says that everything, including nerves, can be magnified in the playoffs, but it's important for players to remember.
You really just kind of feed off the energy of the crowd. I always try to remind myself I worked a lifetime to get to this moment, to kind of just embrace it.
Now they hand the ball to ace Kevin Gossman for Game 1, who says the last few seasons have taught him what it means to play for Canada's team.
You know, there's extra pressure that comes with that, but there's a lot of love that comes with that from the fans, from, you know, people who might never even see you play in person. But, you know, that's just kind of the advantage that we have being one team for a whole country.
And it seems as though the whole country is focusing on the Blue Jays.
You can't walk anywhere from here to British Columbia right now without seeing Jays gear everywhere. So our players are more aware that there's a city and a country behind them.
And fans are coming from across Canada to Toronto for the series, like Rick Burton from Calgary.
It's Toronto on the name, but it's got the Canadian maple leaf on it, so it's Canada's team.
Or Adam and Jaden Lawson from Saskatchewan.
They mean everything to every province in in Canada. So they're our team. They're our boys. They're going to do it.
I don't know. We're just better than the Yankees. Always have been, right?
Now, the question is what the series will look like past Game 1. We know Kevin Gausman will start for the Blue Jays, but John Schneider hasn't said what his starting pitching rotation will be from there on, and then becomes the question of Bo Bichette. The starting shortstop has been hurt for the last several weeks. John Schneider saying his status will come right down to the wire. Reporting live, I'm Sean Lee Thong. Michelle, send it back to you.
A great weekend. Okay, residents of a West End neighborhood are displaced tonight after a fire this morning in a vacant home.
That fire spread to adjacent homes. Neighbors say they've been raising concerns with the city about the state of the abandoned property for some time. CTV's Janice Golding has the story.
Bright orange flames can be seen shooting from this home's windows, the crackling audible from a distance as the house at Kiel and Ypres is consumed in the blaze.
I was sleeping downstairs. The fireman knocked the door, everybody out. Then you see just flames going crazy.
My husband frozen. Yeah, he even doesn't understand what to do.
It was just after midnight, and Vu says she and her sleeping husband had no idea the home next door was on fire until they were evacuated.
But when 4 a.m. the police let me in, then I see all the ceiling down, all the ceiling that's got fire. And the all go down and flooding because of the water.
Vu's home was badly damaged, fire entering through the roof and spreading.
I'm really, really devastated. Like, this is we grew up here.
A fire daughter Christina says should never have happened.
This house has been abandoned for so long. We always had issues with it. Like, there was like a rat infestation, raccoon infestation. We called the city so many times about how dangerous this house has been. It's like we just felt so unheard.
Other area residents confirming the house had long been abandoned.
This house has been like this for over 30 years. I kid you not. It's like it didn't surprise me when I heard about it because it has been vacant for so long.
Fire officials say when crews arrived on scene, the home was already fully engulfed.
Crews made a quick, steady attack, attacking the fire, knocking it down quickly. They were able to protect exposures on both sides because we had homes on both sides, and we were able to evacuate all people. We had no injuries, and the fire was knocked down without any incident.
While there were no injuries in the two-alarm blaze, it was still a very scary experience for neighbors.
I said, like, oh, I'm not going to sleep. It might be like, if it was windy and everything, it might gonna come to my house.
And now Vu's family has to figure out where to sleep tonight.
Not angry, I think, because I just upset. I don't know what to do,
The cause of the blaze is under investigation.
And that was CTV's Janice Golding. Meanwhile, one person has been injured in a fire at a supportive housing complex. The blaze broke out just before 4 in the morning near Dundas and Dovercourt. Paramedics say a man in his 70s was found in the hallway and rushed to hospital with serious injuries. The cause of the blaze is under investigation, but officials say it's not considered suspicious.
Time now for our first look at the forecast as we head into the very first weekend of October. And wow, is it going to be a winner? Hopefully on many fronts. Forecast-wise, what we're in for is entirely unexpected for this time of year, and just a beautiful skyline tonight. Tell us what we're working with, Lindsay.
Well, we are looking at a pretty nice forecast. Michelle, I'll step aside so you can see the current temperature. We're now at 22 degrees. We made it to a high of 24 this afternoon, just starting to cool down as the sun begins to set. It's 27 degrees, though, in Windsor, and that is a sign of things to come for us here in the GTA. A beautiful blue sky today, a clear sky for tonight, light winds coming out of the south, and a patio forecast in October. Yes, why not? Temperatures in the 20s as we progress through the evening hours. Clear skies, you will notice a bit of a cool down as the sun sets. So, of course, a light jacket, probably a good idea. But all eyes on tomorrow, on the sky, but also on the ALDS and the Blue Jays taking on the Yankees in the afternoon. We do call them the boys of summer for a reason, and it's going to feel like that season. We'll take you through the weekend forecast and beyond coming up. For now, Nathan, I'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Still ahead, Marineland's ultimatum. With Ottawa blocking plans to ship the beluga whales to China, the closed park is now warning and may have no choice but to put them down. Those who knew Daniel Amalath are gathering this hour to remember the 19-year-old at a vigil in Scarborough.
He was shot and killed inside the Scarborough Town Centre back in August. 2 17-year-olds have been charged in his murder. CTV's Allison Hurst has more.
Friends and family are setting up a vigil tonight to honor the memory of Daniel Amalath.
I miss his smiles, us hanging out, us watching movies together. I miss spending time with him. I miss everything about him.
The 19-year-old was shot and killed inside the Scarborough Town Centre bathroom on August 21st. 2 17-year-olds have been charged with second-degree murder.
So hard and very difficult to accept he's not with us. Very, very hard.
His parents say Amalath was a sweet, kind, lovable person who loved going to the gym, taking taekwondo, and playing basketball. He was a second-year auto mechanical engineer at Ontario Tech University.
I remember he's coming back from work. Still I waiting. I feel to he coming back to me.
Friends, family members, and Mayor Olivia Chow are all expected to speak.
It means a lot to myself and my family. It shows that a lot of people are respecting my brother and his legacy.
The vigil starts at 6 and goes until 8 p.m. Allison Hurst, CTV News.
Just days after Ottawa rejected Marineland's plan to ship 30 beluga whales to China, the closed amusement park now says it will have no choice but to euthanize those whales if the federal government doesn't provide emergency funding. Marineland says the money is needed to help feed and care for the whales. The park says the aquarium in China was the only viable option for the belugas, and no other park has enough room. Marineland says it is quickly running out of money and has asked the fisheries minister for help in finding another place to send the whales. The park says relocation is the only option, and if it doesn't happen, they will be forced to euthanize the belugas.
A deadline from Canada's Supreme Court is fast approaching, relating to the standoff at an ostrich farm in British Columbia. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency has until today to respond after the top court put a stay on executing around 400 birds at the site in Edgewood. Authorities have been trying to take that step following an avian flu outbreak. The farm's owners have pushed back, gaining support from some demonstrators. The country's top court is now deciding whether it'll weigh in. Lower courts have said the cull should be able to proceed.
The Prime Minister is gearing up for another trip to Washington.
Mark Carney's preparing to meet with U.S. President Donald Trump next week, and CTV News is learning some movement is expected on steel and aluminum tariffs. CTV's Abigail Beeman has the details.
Why don't you just join our country? You become 51, become the 51st state.
It will be Mark Carney's second White House visit since becoming prime minister in a deja vu era of 51st state remarks.
As long as this continued reference to the 51st state remains foremost in the president's mind, this is not an atmosphere that is going to make these type of negotiations easy, and it's something that absolutely enrages Canadians.
The Prime Minister has been tight-lipped lately about any progress with the president, his office not always saying when they've spoken.
Have you talked to Donald Trump recently? Yes. What did he say?
But next week's visit will aim to keep trying to get a deal on punishing American tariffs, as both countries also launch consultations for the upcoming review of CUSMA. One source tells CTV News Canada is expecting progress on steel and aluminum tariffs, but not autos. In a rare public update, the top minister on the Canada-U.S. file told a Senate committee this week he's hopeful there can be a separate deal ahead of CUSMA.
I'm hoping we can get progress before the review process formally engages, but time will tell us if my optimism is misplaced.
The embassy is abuzz, Canadian embassy is abuzz with visits and people reaching out and meetings. But maybe I think Mark Carney knows that sometimes the principal has to get into the room to close the deal. And I'm hoping that Mark Carney's trip to Washington to meet with President Trump will be about a deal and not just more conversation.
In addition to LeBlanc, the foreign affairs and industry ministers will be joining the Prime Minister on his trip to D.C. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
The U.S. government shutdown is set to last into next week after the latest attempt to get a funding bill passed fell through this afternoon.
Republicans and Democrats are trading blame over who's responsible as the Trump administration threatens widespread layoffs while Washington is paralyzed.
It's all about President Trump and the Democrats needing to pick a fight to satisfy their far-left political base, far-left activist organizations who are the tail wagging the dog right now.
Republicans had called for a so-called clean resolution that would keep the U.S. government funded while broader budget talks continued. But Democrats said they wouldn't support any bill that didn't preserve a number of health care tax credits that are set to expire. They say millions of Americans will be affected, and Republicans have refused to negotiate.
It's not complicated. Americans want it. Republican voters want it. Democrats remain ready and willing to work with the other side. We're ready to work on a path forward to lower health care costs for the American people and fund the federal government.
Some Republicans say they're open to talks about the tax credits, but only after the government shutdown is over. U.S. President Donald Trump, meanwhile, said he was meeting with his budget director about potential cuts that could be carried out during the shutdown, while pausing funding for transit projects in Democratic-leaning areas like New York and Chicago. Returning to the Middle East, Israel stopped the final boat of an activist aid flotilla headed for Gaza today.
Everybody sit down, nobody move, hands up in the air. We're running on board, nobody move.
The group had been seeking to land on the coast with a symbolic amount of aid. Yesterday, the Israeli Navy stormed 41 other boats and detained 450 activists. Those on board included Greta Thunberg and Nelson Mandela's grandson and several European lawmakers. Israel says it's processing them for deportation, while some already are back home in their countries. And tens of thousands of protesters took to the streets across Italy in support of the halted flotilla. The demonstration impacted air, rail, and port traffic, causing chaos for commuters. The general strike, called by two unions, followed demonstrations yesterday in cities across the world. As the United Kingdom comes to terms with yesterday's deadly car and knife attack on a Manchester synagogue, police are sharing some new information about what unfolded as community members gathered for Yom Kippur prayers.
They now say it appears one of two men killed at the scene may have been struck by a police bullet. The Greater Manchester Police Chief says a forensic exam found the victim had a wound consistent with a gunshot injury. He said the attacker did not have a gun and the only shots fired were by police. The 35-year-old suspect, who was wearing a fake explosives belt, was fatally shot by officers. The two men killed have been identified as 53-year-old Adrian Dolby and 66-year-old Melvin Kravitz. Three other victims were seriously hurt in what authorities describe as a terrorist attack. The congregation's rabbi says members held the doors closed yesterday to keep the attacker out until police arrived.
I believe very strongly that we can't allow this to beat us. I was looking out of the window in the door at the man trying to get in, and I saw evil and I saw hate, and we will not allow that to beat us.
Police have also detained three other people. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer visited the Heaton Park Hebrew congregation in Manchester today, thanking emergency services and pledging to protect Britain's Jewish community amid heightened security concerns.
Germany's Munich airport has reopened after drone sightings forced it to close, canceling and diverting several flights yesterday. At least 17 flights were grounded, affecting nearly 3,000 passengers, and another 15 flights were diverted to nearby cities, according to the airport. There's no confirmation yet on where the drones came from. Several airports across Europe have had to close in recent weeks because of unidentified drones. European authorities have expressed concern that Russia could be behind them, though the Kremlin has rejected those claims.
A judge in Manhattan has sentenced Sean Diddy Combs to 4 years and 2 months in prison and a $500,000 fine. The disgraced hip-hop mogul was convicted in July on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. That was for flying people around the U.S. for sexual encounters, including his girlfriends and male sex workers. The judge said a lengthy sentence was needed for deterrence, and he's not convinced Combs won't reoffend if released. In court, Combs apologized for any harm or hurt he had caused ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura. Prosecutors said the 55-year-old has no remorse, noting he was so confident he'd be sentenced to time served that he had booked speaking engagements in Miami for next week.
Coming up, a weighty issue in this country. A new study finds most Canadians are now overweight or obese. The extent to which adults are tipping the scales, just ahead.
I'm Pat Foran. Coming up, it's Feedback Friday. We had a lot of reaction to our story on a customer who was unbanked. Viewers had a lot to say about a family that got hit with a $600,000 tax bill. And shoppers send us more photos of groceries being sold as Canadian, but they appear to come from other countries. Feedback Friday is just ahead.
Well, it may not be quite so much here in the GTA, but north of here, the fall foliage is starting to peak. 100% color change at Algonquin Park, close to it in Haliburton, parts of Muskoka. This is a great weekend to head north and enjoy it, soak it all in. Look at this forecast, and here at home in the city of Toronto, 27 degrees tomorrow could set a new daily record. That's if we can climb just slightly higher than this. We'll take a full look at your forecast. We'll show you when it's going to cool down a little bit next week. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
We had a lot of reaction to our stories on a family dealing with a large estate tax bill and travelers getting flat tires in rental cars.
We also have more evidence some grocers are maple washing products and more people who also say they've been unbanked. Here's Pat Foran and Feedback Friday.
Many people were unaware you can be unbanked. A bank can decide at any time they don't want you as a customer and tell you to take your business somewhere else. Following our story, we heard from more than 20 others who say they were also unbanked. Thomas Nassab was with RBC for about 30 years, but he says he was unhappy with their services, so he filed several complaints.
Within 7 days of those complaints, I was told that all of my accounts are being closed.
Canadian banks can end a relationship with a customer at any time for any reason. Paul told us, I was debanked for absolutely no reason. I had 7 accounts closed and 30 days to move to another bank. To this day, I still have no idea why. Last year, Ashley Galley was heartbroken when her mother Jackie died in January, and in December, her father Michael passed away. The 2 deaths in the same year triggered an estate tax bill of almost $660,000.
It made me more angry than anything. We've just lost both of our parents inside of 11 months.
Sid wrote, it's a reminder of how crucial estate and tax planning can be, whether it's early RRSP withdrawals, gifting assets, or using TFSAs and life insurance. I'm sure it sparked important conversations in families. Sally Jerkaba and James Dawson rented a car in Spain and got a flat tire. They were shocked there was no spare tire and ended up being robbed on the side of the road.
Grabbed my purse with our passports, all our documents, money.
Rachel told us we were in Cape Breton and rented a car. We got a flat tire, there was no spare, and we were stranded. We missed our flight home and had to pay $800 for new airline tickets. When grocery shopping, you'll see maple leaves, made in Canada labels or signage urging you to buy Canadian. But a CTV viewer noticed green beans marked as a product of Canada that were from Guatemala, and red onions also sold as a Canadian product that were from Egypt.
A lot of products were labeled in a way that it was actually quite misleading.
Cash sent us this photo of onions for sale that appears to be mislabeled. He said, we went to a grocery store and they covered product of USA on 10-pound bags of onions with stickers that said product of Canada. And shoppers are encouraged to check labels carefully. Mislabeling products as Canadian when they're not is false advertising, and stores can face fines of up to $15,000 per offense. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, let's talk about the forecast. The weekend's looking good. Great conditions for any outdoor activity, especially baseball.
Oh, baseball, anything. I mean, you could swim. this weekend. It is just that warm, and what a beautiful Friday night, and then Saturday and Sunday, and it just continues, Lindsay.
Just don't make the mistake I did and forget about sunscreen in the month of October or late September. Yeah, that happened to me. So if you're out and about this weekend, keep in mind the SPF, bottles of water, shorts and t-shirts maybe to replace the flannel that you might traditionally wear at this time of year, because yes, it is going to be hot. But I think it's also a great weekend, as mentioned, to check out the fall foliage. Here's what it looked like in parts of Muskoka yesterday. Our CTV News camera was up there. What a beautiful time of year. I think for many people, this is the time of year to be in this part of the province. And as mentioned, Algonquin Park now at 100% color change and 30% leaf fall. So catch it while you can. Temperature-wise, we were already warm today. It felt humid out there too. And we're only going to get hotter as we make our way into the day tomorrow. 27 degrees this hour in Windsor. That's what we are going to experience for a daytime high tomorrow afternoon. Overnight tonight, forecast low is 14. Even the overnight temperatures are warmer than average. 8 is the seasonal norm, and it will be a little bit warmer overnight tonight in places like Peterborough and Bancroft than it has been for much of this week. All right, so these are the records to beat over the next 4 days. I've got my eye on tomorrow. This one feels attainable. 27.9 degrees is what we have to make it to tie the daily record for October the 4th. And again, we're forecasting a high of 27, so it is going to come close. It's going to feel like 31 at the height of the day. And once again, mainly sunny skies in the forecast. There might be a little more cloud tomorrow morning compared to tomorrow afternoon. And again, some communities are going to climb to around 28, maybe even 29 degrees. There's also a chance in southwest Ontario that a 30-degree high could be reached. This type of weather isn't unheard of in October. It's just not all that common. This ridge, we're eventually going to say goodbye to it. So here's a little preview of what's coming through the middle part of next week. If you've had enough of the summertime temperatures, just wait. A change is going to come by about Wednesday. Let's talk about your satellite and radar. There isn't much to show here. A little bit of rain just north of Georgian Bay and east of Superior. We are going to remain dry here in the GTA. Again, it's possible a little bit of cloud could spill over, but when it comes to your outdoor plans, you don't have to worry about Mother Nature disrupting them at this point, aside from the fact that it is going to be hot by October standards. Lots of sunshine for your Sunday and then into Monday. Much the same story. I'll step over here so you can see what's coming. That front is going to bring us possibly some measurable rain by about Tuesday of next week. It's also going to cool us down. So 3 consecutive days with highs of about 27 degrees. Sunday is going to feel like 32 at the hottest point of the day. Sunshine for Monday, and then there's Tuesday. Some wet weather moving in. Transitioning temperature-wise, daytime high about 22 degrees. And then check out Wednesday and Thursday, a high of 14 degrees, so suddenly we are now below seasonal. It doesn't last. We're back up around 19 degrees with partly cloudy skies by next Friday. That's your look at the weather. Carry the fire for a world free from the fear of cancer with the Princess Margaret Home Lottery. The VIP prize deadline is tonight. You could win a BMW and a once-in-a-lifetime 7-night trip to Bali for 2 people, or take $100,000 cash. Plus, 3,500 lucky winners will get a $100 home lottery ticket. Over 17,000 prizes will be awarded, valued at more than $12 million. That includes a $7 million grand prize featuring an Oakville show home built by Gaza Homes, awarded fully furnished, professionally designed, and landscaped. Or the $3 million early bird prize package, including a lakefront Muskoka cottage, plus $50,000 cash. The $1.2 million bonus prize package with a luxury Yorkville condo, $50,000, and a pair of season tickets for both the Maple Leafs and the Raptors. Every ticket gives you a chance to win life-changing prizes and helps fund life-saving cancer research at the Princess Margaret. Get your tickets today at princessmargaretlotto.com or by calling 1-866-631-1234. Nathan, I'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, a life lesson on friendship, aging, and education. We go back to school for a lecture that brings together young and old and proves learning never stops. Canada has a high level of birth control use, but despite that, we also have a high rate of unplanned pregnancies.
We get more from our health reporter, Pauline Chan.
In Canada, just over 72% of women of reproductive age use some form of contraceptive. Condoms are the most popular, followed by birth control pills. But these methods are known to fail occasionally, and our rate of unplanned pregnancies is 265,000 every year, with 100,000 of those ending in abortion. And Dr. Dustin Kostescu says Canadians do have more reliable methods available.
LARCs are an acronym for long-acting reversible contraceptives. These are a family of birth control options that by definition you need to use or administer less than once per year.
Contraceptives such as IUDs and progestin implants.
We have seen a slow and steady increase in LARC methods. We're at about 7 to 8%, in the country, but that falls behind France, the European Union, and the UK, where you see LARC rates, closer to kind of the 20% range.
Why aren't LARCs as popular? Dr. Kostescu says many women rely on their social networks, their moms or circle of friends, who may not be as knowledgeable about IUDs or implants.
In order to have a LARC placed, in the arm or in the womb, you need access to a healthcare provider. And as we know, there's a shortage of providers.
And even if they are trained, many health providers don't do the procedure because it doesn't pay as much as other services. Unplanned pregnancies cost our healthcare system $320 million a year in prenatal care, neonatal care, as well as miscarriages and abortions. And Kostescu says families with unexpected children face additional burdens.
The cost of unintended pregnancies actually runs economically into the billions. It costs a lot of money to raise a child to 18, and most of us as parents are raising our children, and supporting them financially far beyond that.
A new report entitled Removing the Roadblocks, Policies to Improve Access to LARCs, calls for increased education about LARCs and universal coverage of contraceptives.
Every health system that has implemented universal access to contraception has reaped both cost benefits as well as societal benefits by seeing great reductions in the rates of unplanned pregnancy.
He points to the UK, where he says for every dollar spent on providing contraceptives, $4 are saved in healthcare costs. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Researchers at McMaster University and MIT say they've made a scientific breakthrough that could offer new treatment options for people with inflammatory bowel disease. Canada is one of the countries with the highest rates of Crohn's disease and colitis. Patients with those conditions suffer from inflammation in their digestive tract. There's no known cure, but there are treatments, and sometimes doctors will prescribe antibiotics to help patients address flare-ups. The researchers involved say those treatments risk killing good microbes along with the bad, but using an AI tool, they were able to develop a narrow-spectrum antibiotic that directly targets E. coli bacteria while reducing unwanted collateral damage. The findings were published in Nature Microbiology.
Meanwhile, Stats Canada is out with new figures showing an increase in the number of adults classified as overweight or obese. The agency looked at data on Canadians ages 18 to 70 from 2022 to 2024. During that period, 68% had a body mass index that would land them in one of those two categories. That's compared to 60% between 2016 and 2019. The report says the trend is in line with research showing pandemic-related lifestyle changes like reduced physical activity are contributing to higher obesity rates in adults. A unique course at the University of Toronto is out to prove it's never too late to hit the books.
The Intergenerational classroom brings together undergrad students with residents of a local retirement home eager to go back to school. CTV's John Musselman has the details.
You have goggles that are changing the vision here.
This is a story about lifelong learning, aging, and friendship.
I'm a student, so I'm taking the same classes that the rest of the students.
An intergenerational classroom that brings together older adults and undergraduate students in a shared lecture room.
I think it's fantastic. I'm having a lot of fun in the class. It's very insightful. I'm getting to hear a lot of different perspectives that we don't get in a classroom of other students my age.
The course deals with aging and health, which is offered as part of the Public Health Studies program at U of T. Half these students are undergrads, while the other half are residents at Christie Gardens, a Toronto retirement community and long-term care home.
Excellent.
Why?
Excellent because it's what I'm looking for in ordinary life too, because you need to pass on some values, and I think you want to know what's expected, how the world is changing, and you can only do that by talking and listening.
Today, the younger students took part in an experiment and tried on these age simulation suits. It hampers their hearing, vision, and mobility, a perspective on what getting old can feel like.
But also to highlight the ageism that is built into the simulation of aging, because that is not everyone's experience. So we also use it to highlight that there's a great diversity of experiences related to aging.
Well, I think it's important that people younger need to understand what's happening as we're aging, because at one point we're going to experience this experience to some degree.
For 82-year-old Marion Gomerman, this course is part of her journey to complete an undergraduate degree. She began some 30 years ago at McMaster University. She admits things have changed, laptops and iPads for note-taking, but the work remains the same.
So I did get a book to remind me how to write an essay. Yeah.
It can be stressful, right?
Yeah, well, sure. Yeah. You know, I mean, I did lots of essays, but I can't remember how I did them.
Gomerman's educational pursuit is a family affair. Her grandson is a first-year student at U of T, and her daughter is a professor at the university. The course also looks at issues including end-of-life care, dementia, and social isolation. The key lesson students here say is the learning never stops, no matter how young or old you may be. John Musselman, CTV News.
Toronto's annual all-night celebration of art is happening this weekend. Nuit Blanche will once again transform public spaces into more than 80 art installations, combining a mix of sight and sounds at displays all across Toronto. The theme for this year's event is Translating the City. Subway service will be running all night long alongside the regular night bus network.
And a reminder, Metrolinx has called off some previously scheduled GO train track work over the next few days. That maintenance would have impacted the Lakeshore West Line, but the transit agency says service will now run as scheduled so Blue Jays fans can safely get to and from Rogers Centre this weekend. And if you are preparing for the Don Valley Parkway to be closed for maintenance this weekend, that is also being delayed because of the Jays game. Thank you, Blue Jays. The city says a full closure is necessary and less disruptive rather than several partial closures, and it will announce a new date when it is confirmed. The award-winning yet controversial American drama Slave Play has opened now at a Canadian stage.
CTV's Andrea Case reports on how the legacy of enslaving people still reverberates today.
As the Associate Artistic Director of Canadian Stage, Jordan Lafreniere knew the moment he first saw the 12-time Tony-nominated production of Slave Play, he wanted to direct it and bring it to Toronto.
It's an extraordinary experience. I mean, this play is a play that has meant a lot to me for a really long time. And I think part of the reason that it's meant so much to me is when I saw it in New York, I felt like it was revealing a secret that we all keep. And that secret is that slavery is still very much a part of our contemporary society.
The production has chosen to release scenes of the play without dialogue. We have added music from the New York production. The show deals with the intersection between sex and race with 3 interracial couples. They take part in therapy, which has them role play as master and slave.
How do you, in a relationship, continue to access the fullness of your identity?
When he first saw it, Lafreniere was angered by the first act.
I couldn't understand what was going on, and I so saw the play as face value. And then when the reveal happened in the second act, I was just so moved and thought that this play was saying something extraordinary that was always present in me, but that I never had the words to say.
Slave Play has been called a love story by some. Others find it controversial, and protests have been waged against it.
There's so many ways this play can sit with somebody, and actually what I'm fascinated with is how the theater can be a place where many people with many different perspectives can come and witness the same thing and actually not share in the same opinion of how it unfolds. It's a really hot ticket. The first 2 weeks are sold out completely. People are emailing me for tickets. It's so difficult.
Slave Play is on stage now at Canadian Stage Berkeley Street Theatre until October 26th. Andrea Case, CTV News.
It's the anthem heard every seventh inning stretch at Blue Jay games. But what's it really about? We talked to the man who wrote the tune over 40 years ago and get the story behind the classic song.
There has been some movement in the Canada Post strike. BNN Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez has today's business report.
Canada Post has presented a new offer to the union representing striking workers. It includes the same offer of a 13.6% increase over 4 years, but the Crown Corporation has pulled a signing bonus off the table, citing its worsening financial situation. Mail carriers have been on strike for a week. The union says it will review the offer. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 71.66. West Texas Intermediate crude is up to 60.53. Western Canadian Select to 49.02. And the TSX hit another record close again today, shooting up another 311 points. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Well, as Toronto gets ready to cheer on the Blue Jays this weekend, you are sure to hear a few bars of the team's anthem, OK Blue Jays.
CTV's Jean Venevali-Rao caught up with some of the musicians behind the song for a look at the origins of the hit single.
It's a staple of the seventh inning stretch whenever the Blue Jays play at home. A song that's been around for more than 40 years.
You got a diamond, you got 9 men.
And one musician, Jack Lenz, helped to compose in a single afternoon back in 1982.
And that's not all, yeah. It was an afternoon, a couple hours.
Back then, Lenz and songwriting partner Tony Kosnick were asked to come up with a commercial to help market the Blue Jays to people who may not be baseball fans, which included Lenz and Kosnick, who'd never been to a big league game.
Neither of us were qualified to write that song.
Lenz says then Blue Jays executive Paul Beeston met with him and told the pair, when writing the song, to take into consideration the team was just 5 years old.
He didn't want to promise too much, so we could say they were okay. That was exact words. But fortunately, okay rhymed with Blue Jays, right?
They figured the song they came up with would last about a year, but it was released as a record that eventually went gold, selling more than 50,000 copies.
This is original.
This goes back to 1982.
Yeah.
Lenz showing us the sheet music that's now a piece of Blue Jays history.
You got the bleachers, you got them from spring till fall.
A song that featured the voice of musician Keith Hampshire.
A little OK Blue Jays.
Who says almost no one knows it's him singing the lyrics.
I go to the ball games now with my grandson, and when he was little, he used to look at me and go, "Is that you, Papa?" And I go, "Yeah, that's me, son."
Hampshire is a big Jays fan and pleased the song lives on.
Okay.
And like Lenz, hoping the team is more than just okay in the playoffs.
Let's.
John Venevali-Rao, CTV News.
Crack.
Toronto.
He's right. Just ahead, inspiring girls to take flight. We hit the runway to check out the initiative aimed at putting women at the controls, exploring the possibilities in aviation.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Finally tonight, an initiative aimed at inspiring young girls and young women to take to the sky.
And it lands at Billy Bishop Airport tomorrow. CTV's Jessica Smith has a preview of Girls Take Flight.
There's a perception that aviation is for boys or men, and we wanted to break that perception.
A free STEM-based aviation initiative is designed to inspire women and girls to take their dreams to the next level.
20 years ago, when I first started flying, I found out that only 6% of pilots are women. So I wanted to do something about that.
Founded 15 years ago by Leslie Page, a pilot and motivational speaker, Girls Take Flight is a free event that helps introduce women and girls to all the possibilities in the aviation industry.
There are airplanes to look at. You can also go inside some of the airplanes. And there are exhibitor booths, as well as a speaker series and career information.
Test flights and flight simulators for planes and helicopters will also be taking place to show women and girls interested in aviation, aerospace, engineering, mechanics, and science that anything is possible.
My husband, 20 years ago, bought a little airplane And he took me for my first flight ever in a small plane. It was love at first flight.
For Leslie, it's all about sharing her passion for flying with the next generation.
I love the freedom of flying. I love being up there. I love the initial takeoff. As soon as the wheels leave the ground, I get this thrill every single time I take off.
The Girls Take Flight initiative happens Saturday, October 4th here at Billy Bishop, with more sessions planned into the new year. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
Great program. So, Jays or Yankees? Who do you like?
Well, the Jays, just a little north from here. The Dome's going to be rocking. We've got the beautiful weather to go along with it.
Yes.
And we are playing the Yankees, though. So.
Oh, but is it even a question? Of course, let's go Blue Jays. And we are going to enjoy some very summer-like weather while we take in games 1 and 2. Here's, first of all, a look at your fall fair forecast as we make our way into Saturday and Sunday. Lots of sunshine, maybe a little bit of cloud cover early tomorrow morning, but by the afternoon, lots of sun, highs of 27 degrees, feeling into the 30s. Want to show you one more look at the 7-day forecast. We are going to cool down through the middle part of next week, so enjoy this while we have it. Some wet weather into the day on Tuesday, and by that time, it will have been almost 2 weeks since we've had rain. Michelle and Nathan.
Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for us, but join Heather Butts tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Sean Lathong with your next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thanks for watching. Have a great night, a fabulous weekend, and go Blue Jays.
Give you a song.
Yeah.